everybody to the Board of Works today. We've changed our times a couple of times, and I don't think we're sure when we meet. Before we start our meeting today, we'll ask everybody to put their phones on vibrate or turn them off completely. We're going to have an invocation, and the invocation is going to be a member of our community. And before we do that, we have this invocation for the benefit of the Board of Works, and we ask a member of our community to do it. And whether you participate in the invocation or not has no bearing on the business that you've come here to do. So with that, we'll all stand. Have the pledge by Rand Scholl.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now we have our invocation, and it's going to be given today by Reverend Rick Wright. And Reverend Rick, I don't think you've been here before. We're pleased to have you.
Thank you. Lord, we thank you for today. We thank you for this opportunity we have to meet together. And God, I pray that you have your blessings over this meeting. God, that you would guide. God, we pray for our officials, God, who serve this community. And God, I pray that you just help them to have wisdom and discernment. God, we do pray right now as challenges come with cold winter, and God, that all the things that means, and more that's put on people's plate. God, I pray that you would just continue to work through them, help them to make good decisions, and God, to help our people. God, we pray for good morale in our community. We pray for Connorsville, God, that you would work in it, and God, that you would see us work together and not be divided. God, we pray for protection and safety on these roads, on these highways, God, in and out. God, we just pray that you would guide that safety and be with our volunteers and the emergency help and all those, God, doing what they have to do to protect us. God, we pray that you have your hand on them. God, we pray that you just guide this meeting today, that you would be honored by the business that takes place. Lord, we love you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you.
I meant to ask the invocator today to mention that Gene Harvey, a former fireman, passed away, I believe, this morning early, and also that Pam's mother works in the office, and Sandy's mother that used to work in the office, in Julie's office, and her name is
Imogene Nolan.
Imogene Nolan, passed away. So I want you all to keep those two families on your minds over the next few days while they go through a rough time. We've met today, the Board of Works, and our first item of business will be a roll call.
Jane Oakley.
Present.
Fran Schommel.
Present.
Leonard Urban.
Present.
Mike Bishop.
Present.
Ron Coldiron.
Present.
We have all 5 members of the Board of Works present, and we are able to do business. Second order of business will be the reading of the minutes of the last meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept the minutes as they are presented.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor to accept the minutes of the last meeting. Are there any additions or corrections? None appearing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Our first our business this morning, we have a bucket drive to be done by the Red Cross on March 8th and 9th, and Billy Birch is presenting that. Billy, if you'll come to the podium.
Thank you very much. Dear City of Connorsville, the American Red Cross requests the following to be approved for March, our National Red Cross Month. Number 1, we'd like to hold a bucket shake fundraiser on March 8th from 3 to 6 p.m. and March 9th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The following locations: 24th and Grand, 6th and Grand, 6th and Central. Secondly, we would like permission to display our Red Cross flag on any flag poles, the fire stations, or businesses that would like to display our flag. Third, we'd like to place a street banner at 7th and Central for recognition of March being Red Cross Month.
You did this last year too, didn't you, Billy?
Yes,
Yeah.
almost
That's right.
exactly the same.
Okay. States are open. I move that we allow the bucket shake on March 8th and 9th, and you can display the Red Cross flags on city flagpoles, and the street banner goes up for March at 7th and Central.
I'll second that, please.
Any further discussion? Anybody out there have any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. John,
Thank you very much.
you're
Thank you.
welcome. See you next year. We have Rick Wright, and he is going to talk about a bucket drive for the storm rally. Is this one for each of us here?
Yes. Hey, my name is Rick Wright, and we are getting ready for our storm rally for April 2013. And would like to request a bucket drive for March the 16th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. At the following locations: the 24th and Grand, 6th and Grand, and 7th and Central Avenue on that date.
Is this sponsored by the church?
It's sponsored by, last year we had almost 90 businesses in the community and several churches as part of that as well. The city sponsored it as well.
Yeah, this is what Dennis is involved in.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I move that we accept this request for a bucket drive for 2013 for storm rally, please.
I'll second.
A motion and a second to allow this bucket drive for the storm rally. Are there any discussion? Anybody out there? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a request to waive the fees for the amphitheater for a concert on July 4th. Ted Kramer with WIFE Radio.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello.
I'm Ted Kramer of WIFE Radio. And as Connorsville's radio station, we want to make our contribution to this summer's bicentennial celebration. And what we are proposing is a family concert, 4th of July, at the amphitheater, featuring one local band and 2 Nashville recording artists who will come here and perform. It'll be a free concert for everybody. There'll be no tickets sold. This is a non-for-profit concert. It is simply our contribution to the bicentennial. The radio station is absorbing all costs that come with bringing the recording acts from Nashville, sound, catering, and all that. And what we are asking is a waiver of the amphitheater fee, as this is part of the bicentennial celebration.
This will just be prior to the fireworks.
Correct, sir.
Daylight hours prior to the fireworks.
Correct, sir. It would start at 6:30.
Right.
And it would end
That dark.
that dark, so that the fireworks would start as the concert ends.
And then there's no music after the fireworks.
No music after the fireworks, sir. Everything will be done when the fireworks start.
I have talked with this group, and I've talked with the bicentennial, and they wanted something while people are gathering, and the radio station came forth and said they would put the bill to put it on, and I know it's sanctioned by the bicentennial committee. We're not actually waiving the fee, we're using the amphitheater for our own celebration, because it is a city celebration. We were very careful not to waive fees for anybody, because if we start, we have to waive fees for everybody.
Understood.
But this is a part of the celebration.
Okay.
But it's still your decision if we can't do it in there unless the Board of Works okays it.
No, Mr. Mayor, I move that we allow WIFE with a big thank you to present the concert in the amphitheater on 4th of July.
Is there a second?
I'll second that, please.
Okay. Any discussion? Anybody out there or here?
What time will this begin, Ted? Do you have any starting time?
Yes, sir. The first act will take the stage at 6:30.
Okay.
What type of music is this going to be?
It's going to be country music, sir. We brought in 2 recording acts from Nashville, both with Hoosier ties. One from Dearborn County, the other actually grew up listening to WIFE Radio out of Oxford. And they have waived the majority of their fees to us because it is a bicentennial in Indiana.
This is a good deal for us because the Bicentennial Committee doesn't have to pay anything. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Thank you very much. We hope to see you at the concert.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, we had the fuel bids, and I have worked on those fuel bids
That's number
with,
D you're on.
what did I forget? The approval of 5K run, I'm sorry.
They're not here.
He was out in the hall, wasn't he? I thought I saw him when I came in.
No,
Isn't he doing 5K?
No, Jason.
Not here? No. Okay, let's go over to awarding the bids for fuel. I took these bids, and as you know, John looked them over, and they were all in order, both of them. And we took and looked at it, and I talked with Jane, who's very familiar with doing bidding, and I think, Jane, I'll give you the floor, and you can explain what you've done.
Okay, after looking at the bids, talking with Julie, looking at past history, because we reviewed the bids and past performance and availability, I'm recommending that we go with Speedway Fueling for awarding the bid for fuel.
We received 2 bids, and is this the lowest of the 2, or do you know?
They're very comparable.
They're within 1/100 of a cent.
Really?
Plus, we've used Speedway before, haven't we? Or just-
Well, as Jane said, the advantage of Speedway, we have a station in the south end, 2 in the north end, and we can use Marathon in Indianapolis or other places we go. And we are all set up, and they are just almost comparable when it comes to costs. And I think that this board has the right to take the best bid, is that right, John?
Lowest and best bid, yeah, it can be and best.
Are you putting that in the form of a motion, Jane? or-
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion on the floor to accept Speedway as our person to provide our fuel for 2013. Are there any further discussion? Anybody out there? Not appearing, we'll have a roll call vote.
Jane Oakley,
Yes.
Fran Schomel.
Yes.
Leonard Urban.
Yes.
Mike Bishop.
Yes.
Ron Coldiron.
Yes.
If that man comes in, tell us, will you? Okay. Okay, we have a resolution 2013-05, a transfer in the park, $4,147.50 non-reverting. Is there any discussion on that? Go ahead and discuss it if you'd like to, or I'll take a motion to accept it.
I move we accept the transfer resolution number 2013-05.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept resolution 2013 from non-reverting into non-reverting community center, soccer, basketball, softball, pickleball, and archery. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Mike Blomley and Don DeRue is going to report on our softball. Mike had the mishap of breaking a tooth and had to go to the dentist to get it fixed.
Bless his
I'd rather been here.
Yeah, I'm sure it will.
How are you?
I'm good, guys. Hey, I'm here today. We talked to the Boys Club last year when we knew they were closing and told we would be taking over T-ball and softball. Now that they've gotten some money through private donations, they are wanting to continue to run T-ball and softball. We have already put out flyers on it. We can run it cheaper, but they want to continue to try and run a league themselves, so we're here to see what you guys want to do about running this league.
Daryl came to me with this, Daryl and Mike both. We agreed last year we were going to take this over and run it. I want the fees for the kids to be as low as possible because of our economic situation. The city owns the ballpark, and the city owns everything down there and is in a position to do it and do the concessions. So the question here is now, do you want to go continue as we planned last spring, or do you want to stop the city from doing it and farm this out? The fees will be about $5.
Their T-ball runs about $30 a kid, ours would run $25. Their softball would run about $40, ours would run about $25. Now, that may have to go up to second year once we figure out all the cost of umpires and everything else, but.
We negotiated 2 years ago with them. They weren't going to do T-ball, so we geared up to do it. And then, of course, they received a donor that gave them some money to operate. So then they decide. They do have to use our T-ball fields. And do they pay the city for using those fields?
Yeah, we have a contract they sign and pay a little fee.
What is that fee?
I want to say it's like $300 or $400.
For the whole year?
Yeah, to use.
So they questioned me about this, and I said, bring this to the Board of Works. This is a Board of Works decision. Whether you want to go ahead and do T-ball and softball, or you want to farm it out and have somebody else do it.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
What is the advantage of them doing it over us?
The advantage of them doing it over us is they're going to bring in about $10,000 to their budget.
Which
If we
we would
run
do
it,
the same
we would
thing.
take off, we would knock off about $10,000 off their budget.
They're doing it for less.
We're going to be doing it for less, but we're taking money out of their programming to do that. I would say that they bring in about 10 grand off of T-ball and softball. It's approximately about 300 kids to do.
Who can run it the best?
That's what I was going to ask.
That's hard to say. I mean, of course, I'm going to say the Parks Department can run it the best, but, I mean,
What's the best for our kids?
price-wise, well, I still think they're going to try to put one out there and run it somewhere else. So I think right now, you're going to have a league at the park, and you're going to try to have a league at the boys' club, and we're both going to have a half-run league because we don't have all the kids.
But doesn't that allow for more kids to participate?
Not necessarily, no. I think people that have been going to the boys' club are going to continue to go to the boys' club some because that's what they're familiar with. You know, that's just a creature of habit. We are all that way. And then I think there's some that's going to come to the parks and say, well, we think you can run it better. Now, whether they find a field to run it on, if we run it and they run it, but I don't think anyone's going to have a very good league if we both run them. I think that's the problem.
What do you want us to do?
Of course,
You're the recreation director for the city.
Of course, I want to run the league. I want to run all the sports. But I also don't want to be the one that turns the key to lock their door, taking $10,000 after someone was very nice and generous about donating that kind of money. So it's a tough situation.
Did you say you've already sent out flyers?
We have sent out flyers.
Has sign-up started?
We've started signups. We don't have a lot. We've got probably under 10.
Okay. And you say softball, T-ball usually runs how many kids?
Between the T-ball and softball, there'll be approximately 300 kids. That's approximately. I don't have all the numbers
And
that they have.
that's elementary age, kindergarten through?
Actually, it's 3rd and 4th, 5th and 6th in T-ball, and then 6th through 10 and under in softball, and then they have a couple other older leagues.
That's a very small percentage of the kids that are available.
Right.
300 versus 2,000 kids that are available
Right.
in that age group.
This is probably an unfair question, but what effect would it have on the kids themselves if we split it?
You're going to be dividing teams and friends. I mean, you know, some parents are going to go down there just because they sign up. Some are going to come to the park and sign up. It's just going to be confusing for a lot of people to start out with.
Which makes the most economical sense to do?
I don't know. I've never ran it, so I don't know how much we can make on this and run it the right way, to do it. I think we can run it and run it very well. My only hesitant is, do we want to be the ones that says, we're taking this away from you and take a chance over 3 or 4 years.
Did we tell them a year ago you were going to do this?
We did. When we told them all, they said they were done in December.
So just a verbal agreement, anything in writing?
No, nothing in writing. Bob was a little concerned and came to me and said, hey, what are we going to do? You know, are you guys going to be able to take this over once we close that door? And now they haven't closed that door.
But we was there with the handout if they was going to close it.
We were there
to
ready
take
to
it
pick
over.
up whatever they dropped.
We built up.
And will continue to be.
We built up for basketball, we built up for everything.
That's where I was leading.
The other organizations, they have a board. So I assume they have some sort
The
of
Boys
board.
Club?
Yeah.
I can't answer that.
I guess where I was going with that, can we request that he be on the board and kind of?
I tried to meet with the board, and I think some of you were with me, Fran, you were, and we could not establish a board that.
No, they're very inactive, I believe,
Right.
as far as I know.
I know Bob had told me a couple months ago that they were trying to get a new board together, but I don't know if they are or have. I can't answer that.
Could we make a request for he to be in conjunction with Bob and work together? Is that a possibility?
No, we can't.
So
We can't team up with a private, we could with a CEC or some government agency. Maybe we could, I don't know. But
Well, I
don't
guess
think
as a
it makes sense
spokesman more
financially.
I don't think, I don't know how you divide that.
Yeah.
And I don't think that would be the answer that they're looking for anyway.
I believe other than the money situation, it would be more efficient if everything was under one umbrella as far as the park running it.
I agree with that.
Any discussion from anybody out there?
When you talk to Bob, has he started to sign up, or has he just approached you and said
They
we
have
want to take it?
flyers ready to go out.
But they haven't gone out, so he
They
hasn't
were on
had to sign.
vacation, I guess, when we sent ours out.
Have you negotiated with him and tell him that we may do this?
Bob and I have discussed, that we were gonna do it.
He's
and,
not willing to stop if we do?
I don't think so. I mean, they're desperate, sir. I mean, I understand that, I mean, they're
All I
desperate to bring
want is
in
what's
money.
best for the kids
I
in the
agree.
community. That's what I want. And,
And up until this year, they've been the ones that have run softball and t-ball.
Yeah, they use our fields and concessions to run them.
do they run concessions too?
I think they have someone that runs the concessions for them, and that's how they pay the umpires.
Who would run the concessions for us?
The Parks Department would run the
Parks,
concessions.
like we do swimming pool and everything else?
Yes.
If they would drop their sign-up rates to be comparable to ours, I would like that.
Well, if Bob is using the city facilities, can't we request him to come and kind of lay out his
Well, I
program
don't think
for
we
us?
have time for that. We need to get this done.
I mean, it's kind of, I'm
Kids are
kind of in the
signing
dark
up.
with what's going on here, but
We just need to get whatever we're gonna do out there so people aren't confused and can get it done and get it started.
But this starts after, when is starting, season start?
I would say it'll start around May 1st for us if we start it. Now, I don't know when they'll start it actually, but I would guess right around the same time. And I would, if they do end up running, then I would talk to Bob and see if we could get it started that early, because I want to try and bring those kids from slow pitch over into fast pitch and teach them the game too. That's where the game is in a high school, so they need to learn the game.
Even if they do it, we still have the expense of maintaining the fields and getting everything ready.
We do. They take care of their own field. They got somebody that lines the field and drags the field and everything for
Or
them.
we cut the grass and
Yes,
take
we
care of
cut the
everything.
grass and everything.
Paint, clean, and
But they pay again, what, $300 to $400?
Yeah, I don't have we haven't signed the new contract.
Does that cover our expenses?
I doubt.
No, not the way gas is.
Yeah, I mean,
especially if the fields flood down there, I can tell you it don't.
no.
Well, and we have lights on the
Yeah.
softball field.
That's all I,
I'll take a motion.
If you're, to get a movement on this thing.
I make a motion, Your Honor, that we leave it, put it under the Parks Department.
Your second?
I'll second to get it on the floor. Now we have a motion and a second to allow the Parks Department to operate it like they plan to.
Further discussion? I think we know all the ins and outs of this thing. We've been going over this for what, 2 to 3 years we've been trying
and
to do.
is this something that, okay, next summer they're gonna approach, next winter they're gonna approach us again and say, okay, if they run it this year?
Once I take it, I'm planning on keeping it.
No, but if the boys club gets it again this year?
I think the Boys Club is
Are they
prepared to
gonna-
run it every year as long as they're financially
Right,
in
but
shape to do it.
Financially next year, are we gonna be
Right.
at the same spot?
Well, we
again?
don't know, it'd be 10, it depend on
Right.
what.
We didn't think we'd be in this spot this year. I mean, and then somebody
Right.
come through
That's
for
more
them,
like a
very generous.
rhetorical
Yeah.
question, are we gonna be in the same spot again in a year?
It's hard to say.
The motion's been approved, but did anybody from their organization know we was gonna talk about this today?
Yeah, it's been on the agenda.
Yeah,
There's
but
no
they
one
didn't.
here, right?
They've not contacted me. I have, and you talked with them, but got no place, right?
Bob and I just discussed, actually how it happened, I went down and asked to see some of the rules that they used, because I wanted to adjust them a little bit, and that's when I found out that they were kind of thinking they would still try to run one too. And I guess we can't prevent them from running one, I mean, as long as they go find a field. You know, ours will be tied up, and
But you don't think that's a good solution? To
I
have
don't
two?
think it's ever a good solution to try and run two programs through two different people, no.
I'm a little concerned that he asked the city, Parks Department, to take it over, but you go in and have no idea that he's thinking about doing it, and it's kind of an alternative, oh yeah, we're gonna do our own after we've, you know, was he gonna tell someone?
I think what they thought was, as long as they stayed open, that we would just back off of it and let them run, is what his thoughts were.
There's a planning stage that you've gotta be able to do, you can't just.
Well,
spend it
the history of this is, I think 3 years ago, Fran, the city council met, tried to meet with the board of directors of the Boys Club.
Yes.
And we were told at that time, they were gonna close, I forget, in the spring or the fall.
Right.
And we instructed Darrell to get prepared to take over basketball, take over this baseball. We wanted every program to go on as planned. That was our plan. I never thought, I mean, we told them last year we would do t-ball and softball. We would do it this year. We geared up for it. They got the flyers ready. We were ready to go. They have a donor that gave them some money, which allows them to keep the doors open up there longer. I don't know what period of time, if it's a year or 2 or 3 or 1. So this is a moneymaker for them, so they decided to try to keep this, to subsidize that other money they've got, so they can stay open longer. And that's what Darrell's telling us. This is a moneymaker for them.
Yes.
And it could be a moneymaker for us, so they use our fields and we do part of the work and the expense. Anyway, it's a tough decision, but it's something that we gotta make here for the benefit of the children of the community. Whether you make it this year, next year, or
Are you prepared if there's more than 300 kids? They usually serve 300 kids, you said. If it's expanded, you guys get more information out, it's more open to more students. Are you guys prepared for more than 300 kids?
Sure. We handle 300 kids in soccer. I mean, yeah,
So if you've got 500 this summer, it's suddenly 8.
we'll make it work.
and we have 2 t-ball fields, right?
We have a fast pitch, slow pitch, and a t-ball field, so
But you just use the one t-ball, do the other field, does
normally
it
what
double
they
as?
did last year was on the weekends, they played on one field, and through the week, they played on the other field. I think on the t-ball field, they played through the week, and on the slow pitch field, they played on the weekend some.
This is the beginning part of baseball, and every young parent wants their kids to be able to play. I don't like high fees.
Yeah, I know you've often said we're not going to increase fees at the swimming pool or
No,
anything like that.
we kept our fees to
Right.
$2 because
Right.
our kids
Sure.
have a tough time.
That's right.
And if you got 2 kids in t-ball or 2 kids in softball, 2 times 40, that's 8 now.
Well, that's why I said I thought their rates should be comparable to ours. But of course, that would reduce their
Their
income.
income. We don't do it as an income, we do it as a service to the
Right.
kids. And we try to get some revenue to pay the bills. You got any idea what it costs us to keep those fields? I mean, we
It
got
would
lights.
vary from year to year. I mean,
Well, the t-ball fields don't have lights
Yeah,
on.
the t-ball field doesn't have lights, so it's not so bad.
Well, anyway, are you ready for the question?
Yes.
Are you prepared to vote?
I don't know yet.
Can you restate the motion so we know exactly how we're voting?
Motion was that
I
the
wish-
city
For the
go ahead
Parks
and do
Department.
t-ball and softball. You
Oh,
want
we
to read it
have
back
one.
to them?
Motion for the Parks Department to run t-ball and softball for this year.
I suppose it's inevitable this is going to happen, if not now, sometime in the future. That's all I have to say.
Call for the question.
Call for the question. We'll have a roll call vote.
Jane Oakley?
Yes.
Fran Schomel?
Reluctantly, yes.
Leonard Urban?
Yes.
Mike Bishop?
Yes.
Ron Coldiron?
No.
It is 4-1, that's about right. That we go ahead. I would ask you to go to them
I will.
and tell them why we did this. And, if you can come up with a better plan where everybody can be happy, You can come back to us in 2 weeks or I'll call a special meeting. We're willing to work with anybody, but I really feel like this has been about the second year that we thought was gonna have to do it. We don't know if we're gonna have to do it. We prepare to do it. And I think that the only thing that's important here is the children of the community.
So if I talk to them and they can get their rates where they're comparable to us, is that what you'd want to know?
If you can come up with any type of compromise of any sort, you can bring it back to us for a redecision. I think this board agrees. We don't want to hurt anybody.
No,
we don't want to,
no, definitely not.
We don't want to cause anything, but we want to be darn sure that our children have t-ball and softball, and it's run right at the least cost to them that we can have.
I don't want to make it more expensive for anybody than it has to be. And
Or more complicated.
yeah, and if they can be comparable in their rates, why, I would certainly review it.
I'll talk to Bob. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry for the tough decision, guys, but that's why you get the big pay.
Well,
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that. Thank you.
when does that start?
Chief Troy is not gonna be here today. I think he went home sick, but he needs approval for firehouse software. Are you familiar with that?
I know it's something that they use,
Yeah,
they've
we did
used it
this,
for.
we did this last year, didn't we?
I don't have a cost here.
You know, you did $1,130
$1,130.
at the bottom.
Okay. I got it here.
You should have it somewhere.
I do, I just got a few things I put in here. That's all right, I know what it is,
Here.
$1,130.
There it is.
There it is, Your Honor.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You got one over there.
All right.
Another rate.
Stack needs to be.
Yeah, right.
I shuffle around here and I get out of order.
So you can play the whistle for
Blameless.
She pointed right to the.
Actually, you can't blame her for this. She has it all labeled and
it was
everything.
right where it was supposed to
I see
be.
the color
Is,
code.
is there any discussion on this issue?
This is a have to, is it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I wish he was here to explain it to us, but
Well, I think they use it for all their, uses it for payroll and all their reports, everything they have to file. It's kind of, you know, we all have software in our
Yeah,
departments that
yeah.
has to be used.
He manages the department, basically what he does when it comes to finances. and
I'll take a
whatever.
motion then if you're ready.
So moved.
Got a motion to approve the software, firehouse software. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those are kind of, I like, they're easy. Utility department. First thing I'm gonna take up is this trash. I think I got it in my head.
Right.
Yeah. When we adopted the ordinance, and I've got it in here, is the ordinance in their packets, or is it just in mine?
It's just in yours. I think it's in yours, it's on your desk. If it's not in front, it's probably on your desk.
Got it all yellowed up, I know.
Here, here's Bill's copy. You want your copy? Here's Bill's.
Is this the, I want my own copy. I made some notes on there. Let me give you a couple of instances. We have a trailer park on 8th Street, and the trailer park is designed to have 15 trailers in it. Because of its age, they aren't allowed to have trailers of the length that they got. The state says the trailers are too big now for the trailer park. So the lady has 6 trailers on the front of the park that do fit. Now, she could rent out to older trailers that are smaller, but her bill is $150 a month for trash. But when Mr. Dave handed out cans, he just put out 6 cans, 6 toters. So we put a toter for each trailer. I don't think it's fair to charge her $150 on lots she can't have toters on. So I went to Mr. Baker and we read the ordinance and looked at the ordinance, and the ordinance basically says that each lot will have a toter and each one will pay. But it also says, there's a paragraph, that this Board of Works is given permission to tweak these rules and regulations to fit the situation. And what's happened since we went to this toter trash situation, we found out that we were actually charging some people too much. And because we were charging them for a water meter and this. Is it up here?
It's up here somewhere.
What the heck happened to it? Yeah, here it is. So we have found out that in some instances we're cheating people, and in some instances people are cheating us. So Julie and I have been talking, I talked with Jane about it, and I talked to Mr. Baker. It seems like on each one of these instances, and there's not going to be a lot of them, that we're going to have to look them over individually and decide what we're going to do. Also, we're probably going to have to take the original ordinance, because it says in that ordinance that we go by the number of kitchens or eating facilities and cooking facilities that's in that building. That's how many trash cans you pay for. Well, in today's world, those old houses or a lot of different places that were made into apartments in the 60s and 70s, people made it into apartment, they no longer can rent. The rental business is shot. So they just discontinued renting it, but they still live in the bottom themselves. Well, it's not fair of us to make them pay for 2 trash cans when there's only 2 people living in the house. And we only delivered 1 toter. And an instance, if you'll come forward up here, I've got a man that came to me last week. He brought his water bill. He's being charged $20 for trash. And just he and his wife live there. If you'll state your name and tell them your address.
Donald Lebron, 1808 Vermont Avenue.
And he has an apartment upstairs that hasn't been rented since 2010, but he's paid trash on it since 2010, $20 a month.
I've paid for 15 years.
Yeah, but you did have someone living up there.
My daughter, yes,
yeah.
when she lost her job.
Yeah.
But there's just me and my wife there now.
He lives on
I
a
have no
fixed.
intentions of renting.
He lives on a fixed income, and he only was delivered 1 toter.
Well, how many water meters are there?
1.
Oh, okay.
But the water meter thing is really not as important.
Why was he paying so much if it was just 1 water meter?
Because there's 2 kitchens in it.
Oh, okay.
It follows the old ordinance where there's 2 kitchens.
Okay.
So we need to look at these things. I don't think it's fair to him to charge, in the first place, we only gave him 1 toter, so why would we charge him for 2?
Yeah, then that's the reason I was asking how many meters he had.
Okay, then you got this case up there with the 6 lots are rented off at Trailer Park, but there's 15 lots, and we've been charging her $150 a month for years and years and years and years. But now she found out she only got 6 toters. So this is a decision, another one of them tough ones we need to make.
So you think she should pay 6 times 15, is that what you're
6
saying?
times 10.
6 times 10.
Like everybody else does. And he should pay $10.
Thank you.
Now, if he calls and rents that apartment, we have to deliver another toter, then we charge him $20.
Okay.
I believe as we go along, Mayor, you're going to see this for the next 2 or 3 months of exceptions that's going to happen as we experience the
I just asked
problem.
for you to be fair, because I don't have no intentions of renting it.
And is it in an ordinance that the Board of Works has the authority to change
Yeah.
I think it's in there.
individual instances?
I think it says something like that.
I'll do it, yeah, I think I got it marked in here.
It's paragraph D. The board is hereby authorized to make any reasonable rules and regulations and to revise and amend them from time to time as the board may deem advisable to effectuate the purposes of this ordinance. That's in the ordinance.
Number D.
Yes, second page, D, so paragraph D, under authority of the Board of Public Works and Safety.
And there's 2 or 3 other places in the ordinance that says that the board has the authority to do this. But it is contradictory when you got that paragraph that Bill brought my attention to that tells that we go by the kitchens.
Well, actually, what that does is it's another way of defining a dwelling unit. I think what needs to be done is we need to amend either the ordinance or the policy to talk about occupied residential units.
Yes.
Instead of residential units or dwelling units only. Because if we say occupied, I think that's going to take care of problems like this gentleman's. And also the lady that has a mobile home park.
So we have 3 issues here. I'd like to put a motion on the floor for the first one.
Okay.
Have Mr. Baker take a look at amending the ordinance to say occupied units.
Add policy, if you would,
And
the ordinance and the policy.
Ordinance and policy in that motion to act for occupied units only. That's the first motion.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor that we ask the city council to amend the ordinance to say occupied units rather than just units.
Second, please.
You got a second on that motion? Is there any discussion? Anybody?
Should there be something addressed to a landlord that doesn't inform us that the thing's being occupied, they'd be in violation of the contract then?
There's violations in there and you can get up to $1,000 fine. It's already built in.
So we need to make them aware, yeah.
Any further discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so the first issue here is we're going to ask the city council to include occupied units as a method of approval for trash collection, rather than just an empty house with a kitchen. Okay. And your second thing, Jane?
Then each of these individual instances, 1808 Vermont, if we can put that in the form of a motion to contact utilities and have them deduct one toter from that unit, or the cost of one, or not the toter itself, but the fee for one toter.
Yeah, we can do that on his behalf. Bill's right here, he'll take care of it.
Okay. And the same with...
Is that in a form of motion?
Do we need to make a change? Is it kind of like when we have the forms come in where they do want trash pickup or they don't want trash pickup? Would it fall under the same thing?
I don't know, John, how do you want that stated?
Well, probably the way to handle it is amend our refuse policy and our ordinance to require it to talk about occupied residential agents or units. And that's what you're addressing. I think you're saying they have to be occupied before they
She wants to correct his problem right now.
Right.
So he doesn't pay any more.
And I think she can by a simple motion.
I think that's the way we want to do about every one of them by exception.
Well, at least until the city council approves the ordinance and the policy change.
You want to make that motion then? Or do you?
I did. Okay, I move we deduct, I want to get the right word, the $10 extra fee for a toter and trash from the residents at 1808 Vermont.
Yeah.
I'll second.
That takes care of him. Any discussion? No. Anybody out there? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, now that will take care of you.
Can I have my bill back so
Yeah,
I
I
can
can
find
find
it?
it. I can find it. It's in here.
Yeah, they went.
If
I
I-
saw it.
I've been married for 53 years. If I decide to move upstairs by myself, would that be all right?
Well, when you call, listen, when you call and ask for another toter, we will know.
I
that
wouldn't do
somebody's-
that without notifying you.
Well, we'll know it, because when you call, he'll notify us that you're getting another toter and we'll charge you. So we
Absolutely.
have
That's
checks
fair.
and balances.
Well, no, she threw you out.
That's all I ask, you be fair.
Let Bill see your bill there. Bill, you need to adjust his bill.
I've got your account number.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank all of you.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Now, the issue of Mrs. Moffett and her trailer park is a totally different issue, because she has 15 or 16 units, 16 trailer park spaces, 15. She's renting 6. Again, she's getting 6 toters, so if she called and wanted a 7th toter, we would know she had another one, and we would just add $10 to her bill. So I think it's very simple, that we just charge her for the number of lots occupied, or units
Or
occupied.
what are we charging her now, 15?
Yeah, we're charging her for 15, have been for years.
Wow, you want a motion for that?
If you're gonna correct it.
I think we should, I'll make a motion that we should correct this situation, that if she's got 10 lots, she should be charged for 10 toters.
You mean if she's got 10 units?
Occupied, yes,
Yeah.
excuse me.
I believe she had 7.
6 or 7, yeah. And you can tell, because how many toters did you deliver there?
I don't remember all that.
But you can check.
Yeah.
You know how many you delivered there. Do we have a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Everybody understand the motion?
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? One more trash issue. We have a business in the north end that has trash. They get trash. Did you check the house south?
It's actually signed to their residential address. They get one toter at that residential address. If they're using it for business, we don't know about it.
What the problem is, the people have bought the toter or they're signed up to get the toter and David delivered the toter, but they're using it both for the business and for the residents. How do you police that, John?
Well, I think we have a system whereby if a business wants the trash picked up, they notify Bill and the utilities department, and it's approved by the Board of Works. And that's what should be done here. They need to be notified that they should follow that procedure, I think. That would be one way to correct it.
Is it all under one address?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got one active account at that residential address. And as far as we're concerned, I mean, that's all they're using it for is the residents.
But the neighbors are griping because they're using it for business, and so they're, I guess you'd say a little jealousy, they're upset that they're using it for their business.
So is this a zoning violation too? I mean, I know
The
we're not
business is
addressing.
right next door, it's probably a business that's been grandfathered. It's in
Is it a
the
home
neighborhood.
occupied thing, is that what it is, home occupied business? Which they probably went through and got a special exception for it.
Well, I think it's grandfathered, it's been there for years and years and years.
So the business isn't in the home, it's a
Next door.
separate
Yeah.
It is.
facility next door?
It's
Okay.
right now apparently the
Okay.
garage. And I don't know if, I wasn't aware of this until this morning, that there is actually a lot of businesses around Connersville that have been grandfathered to receive trash services.
Or we give it to them now, if they come in.
Since 2001, anything prior to that was grandfathered, the way I understand it. If a business wants that service now, they have to come before this board and get it approved.
Yeah, we just did Brian's Bookstore here a while back, you all remember when we did it.
So
Do
is
they
there a-
want an
oh, excuse me,
additional
Joe.
toter?
No, they want to continue to use the residential toter for business.
So is that a violation?
Is the house occupied? Is it,
Yeah.
someone lives in the
Is it a
house?
violation?
Is
They,
it,
what the neighbors are saying, they should be paying for 2 toters, and they should have come before the board to get a toter for the business. We gave them we gave it to them for the house, and they took it to the
You
business.
said the business is in the house?
no.
It's in the garage.
It's in the garage.
You know, it's on a different lot, though. I drove
That's
up- I drove
bingo,
up,
that's,
it's not on the
it's
same
only
Well, it's
lot.
one
not
lot.
attached to the house.
No, there's a fence down between the two.
Well, I thought the whole thing was fenced around the whole thing.
But it's all under the same address, is that correct?
More or less.
Well, if it's a separate entity, then I think they need to apply to ask for a toter, just pay them for a
Exactly.
toter. So they're in violation.
So who enforces this, the police, or Dave Job, or the John?
The ordinance enforcer.
The ordinance enforcer.
I don't know where that goes.
I ain't going down the Badlands.
If it's on a separate location, I mean, it should require another toter, I would think.
Well, if it's a separate entity, it looks to me like if they're not in code violation to start with the
There's not 2
zoning.
addresses though.
I think so.
And there's not
There's
two,
just one address.
and there's,
Well, that's what I asked her, one
and
address.
there's one
There's
meter.
one, there's one address, one toter, 1 meter.
1 meter?
So it's.
How about a kitchen facility?
So I'd say they're okay.
It doesn't say there's a kitchen facility.
So they're using, okay, 2 questions. They have 1 meter, which is within the ordinance. They own the business, it's at 1 address.
Yeah.
Is all the trash, is what got their attention because the trash is overflowing, because the business puts too much in it?
Just because.
Just because?
Because
I don't think
they
they're
put it
They
out
got
in
a
front of the
rendering, you
business
gotta
instead of
agree.
their home.
Because.
And they put business trash in it.
I think it should be in front of their house, but.
Now, I'm not so sure what they're putting in, it's legal to put in it anyway.
I don't know.
We need to check
Did
that out.
Did that,
Yeah.
yeah. this is something else.
Give me the address.
Well, we
Not-
won't hear at a public meeting, because I don't want to get anybody in
They
trouble.
give you a little note. I don't see,
I don't know, if one address,
1 address, 1 meter, it's
Yeah,
all within
I-
the guidelines they own the business.
if we can
They're paying for it.
take action or not.
Okay. That's what I wanted to know, I need your direction. Next issue. Bill?
Is that all the trash? Is that all the trash?
I hope, until tomorrow.
Well, as far as the utilities goes, I just got a couple of things. I included in your packet an application for drainage approval for Fayette Regional Health System. Up on Erie Avenue, they're wanting to expand that healthcare facility up there. They're gonna expand it to the west with about an 8,000 square foot addition. So they've submitted to us, and I have reviewed their stormwater plan, and everything seems to be in order. So with this board's approval, I'll go ahead and give them permission to carry on with the project.
Is that Fayette Regional?
Yes.
And they have submitted the drainage plans to you?
Yeah, the drainage plans and their erosion control plan and everything seems to be in order. One thing that they are going to do is, right now, they've got a 12-inch line that drains all the stormwater off of that property to Lick Creek, that little creek that runs just north of there. They're going to add another bigger line adjacent to that existing one, so it'll take care of any additional drainage that they're going to get off of it. One thing that, the only thing that we're doing here is approving their drainage plan and their erosion control plan. As far as approving them putting that pipe in there, if there's any permits or anything that needs to be gotten from the DNR, that's their responsibility. And I'll spell that out in the letter to them.
I move we accept the application for drainage approval for Fayette Regional for their 8,000 square foot extension to their facility on Erie Avenue.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve that drainage plan. I think it's important what he said last time. We've got in trouble with this before. Dealing with the DNR is a completely different issue than this.
That's right. And so it'll be spelled out in a letter that I will send to them, so they're fully aware of it.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
We have scheduled for Wednesday over at the Utilities Office a pre-construction meeting on the project at the wastewater plant to replace those controls and pump motors and such. So hopefully that project will be getting underway here shortly. At that meeting, I expect to get an agreement from the contractor. So if it's okay with this board, if the agreement seems to be in order, I'll just go ahead and sign it so we can keep that project moving forward.
What time is that meeting due?
It's tentatively scheduled for 9 o'clock over at the Utilities Office.
What day?
Wednesday, this coming Wednesday.
So tomorrow?
Day after tomorrow.
Well, day after tomorrow. Day's Monday, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Today's Monday. Yeah. That's okay, I'm within 2 days, that's not bad.
That's not-
9 a.m.
9 a.m.
Anybody wants to attend that is certainly welcome to attend that. That shouldn't involve very much, should it?
I wouldn't think so. It'll just be kind of going over and making sure that they've got all their submittals in place as far as insurance and
I'm gonna try to go.
it should be pretty simple.
Do you have to shut anything down to do that? You do one at a time, right?
Well, that's going to be part of what the pre-construction meeting is going to be like, to make sure that we do have a plan in place where they keep everything going. And the plan is to shut one unit down at a time, rehab it, and go on to the next.
Those units that are taken out, did they take this in on trade, or is that going to be ours to junk?
It's going to be pretty much junk.
But I mean, we can sell that then for junk because it's heavy.
Well, there's really not a whole lot of stuff in
You
there.
got copper and brass inside there?
Not what they're going to wreck out. There's some load cells and a couple little pumps, and there's going to be some copper and brass, but I'd be surprised if there's 40 or 50 pounds of precious metals in the whole thing. Other than the motors, of course. I mean, they're going to be pretty heavy.
And those motors will be trashed, sold for junk.
Yeah.
What else you got, Bill?
That's really about all I have, other than I thought maybe we might have a little discussion on the Grand Avenue project. They keep pushing the letting date back on that, to where now it's firmed up that on July the 10th is when that project is supposed to let from NDOT. Funds will be available. We should have everything ready to go well before then. The stage that we're at right now is we're doing utility coordinations, and by the middle of this month, we should have all the responses back from any utilities if they need to relocate anything and that type of thing. So once we get the responses back from them, we can go ahead and finalize the plans. And I want to give a real good hard look on our existing water lines to try to avoid any problems that we've had in the past. I don't see anything from my perspective other than just about all of the services, well, on the whole project's going to have to be relocated.
That's in the project, though.
I want to make sure that it is in the project.
What about the main line? Is that a 6 on the grant?
No, there's an 8-inch going up Grand all the way.
Is that going to have to be replaced? Is
I
that
don't
old?
think so. Up Grand Avenue is going to be relatively shallow. I mean, we're talking about a storm sewer of only being about 6 foot. And we're 20 foot horizontal with existing water line and existing sewer. So the only thing that I can see that's going to be involved on our part is going to be just the service connections going to the homes, from the main homes. And most of those were put in years ago, and if we get to digging around those, we know that they're going to...
Well, it's a complete streetscape anyway, isn't it?
It is.
Sidewalks,
Sidewalks,
curbs, everything.
Sidewalks.
What about trees?
Well, trees, most of the trees are going to have to go.
Well, I know that, but are we putting trees back in?
We don't have anything planned for trees back in, not in an NDOT project. I guess I can only imagine that it would be similar to what we did up on Ohio Avenue, which was a project that...
Foundation could put the trees in for us.
Well, you can see.
Well, they have a tree planting program each spring, and they could come in and do that for us.
But anyway, I think most of the trees are going to probably end up gone. Where we're going to get into some issues with possibly water line being in the way, we'll be going from Grand Avenue to Ohio on 21st Street. That's going to be deep, probably 18, 20 foot deep at the invert. Even though our plans show that there's plenty of separation between the water line and what we're going to put in, there's a possibility that we may have to replace that water line going down 21st Street. And I think that's going to be pretty much dependent on soil conditions. So anyway, we need to give it a good hard look, and by the middle of the month we should have all of our responses back from the other utilities and get the plans done and keep the project moving forward.
How much is our portion of that project?
See, we've already put $155,000 in it in design, I believe. And I think our total portion was $777. So that's going to leave us about $655, but we got to come up with some place to do it.
Not just me.
I said we.
You're going to be about broke when you pay for that project.
Well, the city's got to pay part of it.
Yeah, part of the city, part of the county.
Yeah, because streetscape. Do you know how much that is?
No, we need to get an engineering firm to break it out for us, what parts. That's what we did the last time on the bill.
We'll have to get NDOT involved in it.
Because we actually have to pay that up front to NDOT before the project ever starts.
Right. That won't break the stormwater utility, but it'll take
bent.
It's going to put a dent in it, big time.
But look at the value that we're getting.
Oh, I understand that.
It'll be a real good value.
Let me ask you, you told me last week, and maybe you didn't want to bring it up today, that you got this thing that you need to write, this, that you do every year, that you need help with to get approval.
Our MS4 services.
When does that come up?
Well, it's actually an annual thing that we've been doing for the last 4 years. We've had Westler's Engineering help us out with our MS4, our municipal separate storm sewer, just everything that we do in that program. We've got an annual report that's due this year, And typically, they will keep us informed of anything that we need to do to stay on task with IDEM. That agreement is actually due for renewal now, but I think what I'm going to do is check with a couple other engineering firms and just kind of keep them in line and see if we can get some quotes from a couple other firms. It may be a little hard for them to quote because of the scope of services that they've got spelled out to do for us, but it's not something
Will
that's...
you give us then the quotes at the end of, when you get them in?
I can bring them back to the board, is that what you asked?
Yes.
Yeah, I can do that. I just have to lay out a scope of services that we expect for them for the remainder of this year. And, you know, a couple meetings isn't going to hurt anything on that. We've got time to, our report's not due until September of this year, I think.
When you did that trash thing, were you able to find out every business that's receiving trash that's been approved by the council? You got a list of those? Okay.
Yeah, I'll give it to you for you.
Okay.
It's a pretty lengthy list. Some of the ones on there have been grandfathered and some of them's been approved by this board since.
And I want to check those with what we delivered and be sure that we're on board.
Yeah, I've got a copy I can give to Dave and you.
Yeah, what happened, I think that the college kids delivered those toters, and it wasn't a good plan. I wouldn't do it again. They didn't know the town from Adam, and they just went around with a truck and a trailer and dropped a toter in everybody's front yard. And I had a lady this morning come in, and her toter was out there. She went to get it, and it was gone. Well, there were 2 apartments in that house. The lady in the back of the house has a water meter, and she needs a toter, so she took it. Then we found out the lady in front of the house didn't have a toter. So these kids didn't know that sometimes you should leave 2.
Sure.
They also went around houses that were totally empty and boarded up. They dropped one in the front yard, so Taves had to go back and pick those up. So it wasn't a good plan or distribution, but it's done now and it's running smooth. Any questions? Old business? Anybody got any old business they want to discuss? I put the 4-H building, we're doing great. I'm waiting on our own member Ronnie to tell me about some work in the bathroom. The dividers.
I've got a...
Got some quotes?
I don't have the quotes, but they are sent to them. I haven't even received anything back. But they do have the little drawings and what we need. It's not that much. But,
yeah. I want to get those, we're ready.
So it's been sent off, so I just don't have them back.
Okay.
For the quotes.
And then the electric going to the basement, there's still 1 box down there that's active.
There's actually 2. There's one in the old kitchen.
Yeah.
That's all the way north, and then there's another one just inside the mezzanine.
Are they fuse boxes or breakers?
I think the one in the north kitchen is a small breaker, and the other one's fuses. So 1 of each. Yeah.
I was not going to touch that, just feed it.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that okay?
Yes, it'd be very safe to do that, yeah.
As long as it's safe.
Yeah. And, you know, at some given time when the basement gets busier, you might address it, but it'll be fine.
We got plenty of power there to address it.
We've got plenty of
and we can
power.
always get in there.
Yes. Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yeah, it'd be a good way to approach it.
When we put the electric in, we put enough electric in to cover the basement, but we're not rewiring the basement. However, everything that was wired to the basement from upstairs, we put in the new box.
Yes.
Any questions?
Well, I think that's what we're addressing. We will wire that from the new box to the basement. That's, yeah.
A lot of it already is.
The
stage.
new panel, the new panels is all coming out. Yeah, the stage is all coming out of the new panels. So, yeah, everything upstairs is out of the new panels. You know, Bill has done that very well. I looked at it for him. Yeah, he's done a good job.
Anything else under old business, miscellaneous business? Anybody got anything?
I'd like to. Bill Duntzel's done a tremendous job up there. He's also accumulating a lot of tools, a lot of. I don't want to say extra materials. You always have something left over. He needs a place to put some things that he only has access to. I don't know where that would be. I don't know what we've got. But we ought to find him a place that he's actually got a shop for his own
But then you like storage cabinets and they need something. They
well, he actually needs a room. I mean, you know, for sawhorses, maybe some boards that are left over, some larger saws and stuff like that. And he's got a cabinet now that he's trying to keep stuff locked up, and he's got his truck. But there's a lot, he's accumulating a lot of stuff that, let me rephrase that. It's not a lot of stuff that's left over, it's just, I think it would be conducive for us as a savings to give him a workshop that he can actually, no one's got access to.
When he needs blocking, or when he needs this, he's got it, and he saves that stuff, and he knows what he needs.
Yeah.
He's got his screws, his nails, his bolts, his tools.
There's just a lot of
And
things.
he's keeping all that stuff on his truck. But you're right, he needs a place to work out of.
He does, he really needs a garage or some
The
sort of.
maintenance.
Yes.
So we'll look for that.
Yeah.
We'll look around and see what we, David.
I already got an idea.
You already got an idea?
I've already asked for this place, so we'll see what we can do.
Okay. And while we're on that subject, as Ron just said, Bill has saved us a tremendous amount of money, just unbelievable amount of money. I mean, what he can do is unbelievable. And he's so easy to work with. But after work, he gets off at 3:30, and after work, he always has another job to go to. A good part of the tools on the truck are his. He uses his tools all the time, and we're gradually replacing and making city tools. But he has to go home with the city truck. He goes home, but he lives in the country. He has to unload his tools onto his truck and then go out and do his job. Well, he loses an hour, 2 hours doing that. Last week or two, I've been allowing him, and I want to take this to this board. I've been allowing him to take the city truck directly to his job that he does privately, if it's on the way home. Don't drive to Richmond to do a job, but if it's right here in town, rather than go home, just do the job. Is that something you want me to continue doing, or do you want him to go home and waste that time? And I mean, we're going to be criticized because they see his truck at different places, but I think it's unfair to make him go home. He's good enough to use his tools. We ought to be good enough to let him stop and do a job on the way home. Ron, you run people. How do you feel about the thing?
That's a touchy situation there, when you're talking about a company truck, but I'd like to see the city have, or if they need to buy tools for the city, let the city own the tools and let Bill own his tools. That's what I think.
Well, we're gradually going that direction.
I think that would be a salvation to what, I mean, I know our policy is if they're hand tools, we have a yearly
inventory.
We actually give our employees so much a year for hand tools because they wear them out. I mean, there's no need to change a screwdriver over out of different pouches. If they're power tools, then we furnish them. So I think that would be a way to approach it. Well, that's really not addressing what you're saying, but I think if he's using city tools, they ought to be city tools, and if he's got a place to put them, then he would have it. But I think we're going to get in trouble if they see this truck. It's always going to be a question where that truck's sitting and all this other stuff sitting around. And I'm for Bill because he has saved a tremendous amount of money, but I think if he still uses the city vehicle.
I think the maintenance department idea is working out great.
Yeah, the boy does a fine job.
Yeah.
I'd like to see, if he's using his power tool, then the city needs to buy him a power tool. He needs to buy a power tool.
The problem is we weren't able to go in and buy all at one time, so we've been buying a piece here and a piece there, and we're getting there.
Yeah.
We got him a nailer.
We don't require anybody else to furnish tools, do they? I mean, as far as, so there's no need to
There's
build.
no budget for it. There's no budget. Other than the park budget, we've taken stuff out of there.
Hand tools are easy transferred. I mean, that's usually a pouch or something, that's no big deal. But if he's transferring power tools, then I think basically we just ought to have power tools for the city and then he have his own power tools. That's the way I would see it anyway.
Any further discussion over here?
I do know that the public will look at a municipally owned vehicle, that from experience. And they may be going home and off the clock, off the city clock, but there will be those who pass judgment, even though there's no expense to the city at all.
I've had some comments from folks that have seen police department cars taking school children back and forth. So I'm sure that we would be questioned in letting a city-owned vehicle being used for private purposes.
Okay. when it's supposed to work with this police cars, they check in with 911 when they go on duty. My guess is if they're taking a kid to school, they're on duty.
I don't know if they are.
They should be. They should not be taking someone to school in a police car if they're not on duty. But we don't have any rule that says they can't take somebody in their police car when they're on duty. Okay, it's something we just gotta find him a place to work, and we need to get his truck supplied by all city equipment and tools. But we started out with nothing. We started out using his stuff, and we're still using a good bit of it. Claims? I saw Bobby come in. Did you want to speak?
Yes, if I may.
Yes. I don't know if Darrell left or not. Is he still around?
I did not see Darrell out there. I just got a phone call from a friend who was watching on cable, and since we don't
Okay,
have
well, Darrell
cable.
was here and he presented the issue. You know, we told you a year ago that we would take over the T-ball and the softball. I think you agreed to it, that you were gonna close.
Actually, I prefaced all those discussions by saying, you know, we're gonna die. We're going out of business. And I told Darrell I would be more than happy to help with the transition, whatever, you know, as long as the kids were, no interruption in service. But I did preface all those by saying unless a miracle happens. Well, I don't know if everyone's aware of it, but we sort of got our miracle. We received a $100,000 donation that will enable us to continue, hopefully for 4 to 5 more years, or maybe longer, who knows. You all know that the economic situation fluctuates almost daily and weekly and monthly. But given the fact that we were sort of saved from the grave, we hope to go on doing the programs that we have been doing for, well, like in the case of T-ball, softball, for well over 20 years. I don't want to take up your time because I know you've already had discussions and you can't go back, but I know you have a meeting again in 2 weeks. These are the flyers that we are putting out to our schools with the costs and the sign-up dates.
Thank you.
And share, Gene.
Thank you, Bob.
I know, as I said, I didn't see what the discussion was earlier, but I do know there was some question about fees, cost. You will note that we are charging the same thing. I think that was put out on the park flyer. We're $10 higher on the softball, but Darrell does a great job, but I don't think he's run the softball program before. It's hard to get a licensed umpire, and we have also a scorekeeper, so we may make a little money, but it's more or less a break-even proposition for the older girls especially. You know, as they get older, they start doing other things. So we want to try to keep them involved as long as we can. I think it's in black and white there. That's what we're proposing. We have taken out to probably all but one school. They've been delivered. And we weren't trying to go in the back door. This is the same time we do it every year. And as I said, we've done it every year for almost 20 years or more. So just for your consideration, if you have any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer them as best in my ability.
If the city goes ahead and does T-ball and softball, is it gonna?
Oh, it'll hurt us bad, yeah. I mean, if I can just be bluntly honest, $100,000 is a wonderful, wonderful thing, but it's not an end-all. It just gives us life for the next several, 4 or 5 years, depending on other economic situations.
So how much do you make off of this? How much
Do you want to, well, Darrell keeps throwing around the $10,000 figure.
Yes.
But that's before expense. That's the income side. We may make in a given year between $4,000 to $5,000. Depends on sign-ups, numbers. If we have to have rainouts. And if I could just point out the difference is we're not taxpayer subsidized. So granted, the park department can do it cheaper than we can. They could do it for nothing if they want, because they have that ability. we have to charge something in order to basically stay alive. And in lieu of, I mean, you probably know about the situation with United Way. Is anyone aware of that? They've suspended operations, which is another.
In Fayette County?
Yes, yes, sir. I mean, they're reorganizing. We're hopeful that they're going to come back bigger and better.
That was a portion of your income.
Correct. It was a small.
What's best for the kids, Bob? That's what we're trying to do. This board wants what's best for the kids in this community.
And I was kind of misled in the beginning, but go ahead.
Our economic development situation is so bad here.
I agree.
That you got two kids in a family got to play or want to play. You know, I've said for years, we need to go out and find scholarships for these kids, and I've paid for kids to play.
Well, if I could just say, any child that signs up for this program plays. And that's another reason that we're in some financial difficulty, because we never turn anyone away for any of the programs. Also included in this is a membership to the club for the whole year. Kids can come to the club every day. I mean, this is our livelihood. This is actually, T-ball is more of a moneymaker than softball. Softball is not a big money.
Is there any way you could work with the Parks Department?
In what way?
I don't know.
I mean,
make it good for the kids. That's
actually, Daryl and I have worked well together. Daryl's been a friend for a long time. And I think he's done a good job with the things he's done. I see no need to reinvent what's already there. Our program is well established. Little to no complaints. I mean, you never do anything without having people complain. But I think we do a good job at it. I mean, if the community wants the park department to do it, and they do a better job, I'll get out of the way. They can have at it. I think what's in the best interest of the kids and their families and the program as a whole is to leave it as it is. And
that's what we're trying to determine.
Okay.
Because
that's fair.
We were told by you or your group, and then we're concerned that you don't have a board.
Well,
Mr. Scholl asked about the board.
We're meeting on the 18th of February to jettison some of our unproductive members, and then we will at that meeting add at least 3 members. We're in discussions on how to revitalize our situation. I mean, let me just paint a picture for you that you're on your deathbed and you're starting to give away your stuff and you're telling people you want them to do this, you want them to carry on this legacy. And then all of a sudden, you know, the good Lord sees fit to come down and go, okay, you're not dying. So we're back in the game. It's a lot easier dying than it is living, because now we've got to get on with the business of driving forward and trying to make the former Boys and Girls Club, the Regan Street Community Youth Center, a viable, giving organization for the kids of this community. We provide things that the park can't. I mean, we're there every day after school. I know the kids can go to the park, but right now it's pretty cold. But we have kids that drop in. I think it's a worthwhile organization. Obviously, I'm prejudiced. We are reorganizing, and we are.
Let me ask you one more question.
Yes,
I won't belabor this because I want to end this meeting.
I understand. I'm sorry.
What about, there's a group in town that is working on a new boys club?
They're working to be part of the Boys and Girls Clubs of America, which we decided to jettison ourselves from in 2001.
Are you working with them?
I have met with Mike Hartzell and Robbie Wilson.
Tim Rogers, is there? Tim Rogers?
No, I'm not meeting with Tim Rogers,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
He came before us. And
I know.
Talked about the group.
That's a whole other situation there, Fran.
Is that another group?
Yes, it is. But
so there's 2 groups trying to organize a boys club besides you?
No, there's one other group.
Okay.
And so far, they're basically very much an intangible thing, because realistically, they don't exist. They're not doing anything right now except being in talks to organize programs.
Okay, well, when you were revitalized with your money,
yes,
did they kind of drop off from where they were then, or?
Actually, I wrote a letter to Mr. Hartzell, and we got together, and I think what I said to him was something along the lines of, it's a lot better to have 2 organizations working for the kids of the community than none. which at the point before they picked it up. And I think that's why they started to become more active. What they want to do, I think, is, work with the school system and do after-school type programming. What we would call culturally enriching programs. They don't want to have a physical building. They want to utilize school properties, as I understand it. And we have plans. My board president has spoken to my...
Who's your board president?
Don Crum.
Don, I know Don.
Yeah, Don is, and what we've been trying to tell these people is like, look, we're willing to collaborate and work and try to help if we can join forces, but we're also, I mean, we've been on the ground, we're starting to stand up, and we want to start walking forward. And that takes some time. Dealing with councils and committees, you know that things never move as quickly as you would like them to. So that's where we are right now. We left the door open to work, to collaborate if we could, to not recreate or duplicate, because what they want to do is something pretty much totally different than what we're doing. And if they can make our program better or vice versa, I mean, why not? In our community, it would be nice if at one point in time, everyone with a common goal and common cause could get together and drive forward, drive on down the road together, instead of
Well, I think that's what this board's trying to do. We're trying to figure out what's best for our kids, you know. It's very difficult.
I've been at this game for 25 years, and it's always seemingly about turf wars, or it's my program, and everybody is pulling in opposite directions.
Well, you can see the city's not into that, because we let you use the ball field.
I understand, and I appreciate it.
$200-300 a year you pay.
It's
very meager.
Cheap at any cost.
Right. All of our programs are run inexpensive as any. I get from every city around. We're the cheapest on the pool. We're the cheapest on sports, and that's, I think, Mr. Schommel was concerned.
If you go
we want these prices.
If you go to Indianapolis, I mean, kids are going to pay $125 to $150 to play baseball. They're going to pay at least twice this much to play any kind of softball program. We are, I think, and I won't call it cheap, it's affordable. Affordable recreation, cheap entertainment. It keeps kids active, involved with an adult who cares about them, part of a team, and it's something I think that's very necessary. People call it sports, but it's also socialization.
Well, I'll tell you, Bobby, what I'm going to do. Jane, can I pick on you again?
Sure.
I'm going to pick on you because you voted yes, and I'm going to pick on you because you voted no. I want you to meet with Daryl and Bobby and before our next meeting, and come back and see if you can bring some sense to what we got to do here. Will you?
Yeah, can I ask?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Two quick questions. I wasn't on the board when you came to the city council and said we're dying.
Oh,
I wasn't on then. So my question is.
I never came to the board and said we were dying.
Oh, okay.
No, you came. We had a meeting over in my room over there, and you told us that you were going to close this day.
Actually, we had, I think,
we had several meetings.
4 meetings over the course of the summer.
Yeah.
My question is, when you started to do the flyers, did you come back and say, hey, we're going to go ahead and do softball? Did you alert anybody in the city or in the Parks Department?
I told Daryl our intent was to do the program. I was out of town taking care of my elderly mother for a week, and that's when the flyers went out.
Okay.
And it was very early, so I thought we had time to actually discuss it.
Okay, so that brings up a second question. You said you distributed these to the schools. Did you go through the administration office to give them? Okay, and the third question is about how many kids do you think you served? And last summer you did softball and t-ball.
Correct.
About how many kids was that? I just want to make sure.
I would guesstimate at this without. I do have figures back there.
Yeah, I know. I'm asking.
I've slept too many times since then. Yeah, I would say 300 plus.
Okay. Okay.
For the t-ball and the.
I just want this is just something to think about before we meet. 300 plus with softball and t-ball in the grades that are is what I told Mr. Drew earlier, that's a very small percentage of those that are in that age group that this could serve. 300 is a very small percentage.
Well, I'll get the accurate numbers, and
Okay.
I don't want to be argumentative.
No, I'm not arguing. I just
I would
wanna-
disagree that our numbers have stayed consistent.
No, I'm saying overall, the number of kids in that age group in Fayette County.
I understand.
That's a small percentage. So what I want to say is there any, when we talk with Mr. Drew, there's more kids out there that could be served. A lot more kids than 300 for these things. Is there a way, working together, we can get more kids involved? And I think that's what the other group is looking at. There's not a lot of kids involved that could
Possibly.
get involved. Okay.
I think the numbers that are involved are the number of kids that want to be involved.
Okay.
You have so many other things going on too during the summer. You got dance, soccer runs about the same time.
And you got kids that don't do anything
Yeah.
because they don't have the
You-
affordability, the transportation, the parent support. So those are the kids
And-
that we need to look at.
And that is a problem in our
Okay.
community.
Yeah, and is there some way these two
Well,
groups can look at that?
Could we run both programs and serve more kids?
That's,
Right.
What, 2 T-ball programs and 2 softball programs?
Or maybe at least 2 T-ball programs,
Or
because
is
you
there a way
said
to get your heads together and expand what we have to get more kids involved?
use the same fields and all of us work together.
Oh, well, I'm sure you could run.
The AFC and the DCB, or whatever it is.
I just don't see that that's gonna make it any more efficient. I think that would make it less
I
efficient.
gotta stop
I'm
this
sorry.
because we're-
I've got it.
Okay, I'm gonna ask Jane and you and Ron, and I would like Mr. Crum, since he's president of the board,
Sure.
and Daryl, and possibly Mike, because Mike's been working on this too over the years. You know, Mike is the one that's been stuck with this. Mike, be ready when this, because you told us on many occasions, the Boys Club's closing in the fall,
And
it's
that's-
closing in the
that's what-
spring.
Well, that's why we came,
Yeah,
what was it, 2.5 years ago?
Yeah.
To ask for help.
yeah.
And, we weren't able to come together at that
Well,
point.
our,
but-
our financial constraints, plus the lack of the board and the financial paperwork, the council denied it. The council never wanted to stop the program. They wanted the program to go on, but the board didn't show up. Some of them did, but it wasn't an organized board. And then the fact that we couldn't get financial.
You have to have one.
Well, I understand.
And you have to
I'm
have
not
one.
debating that, but I had as many board members there as you had council members, not to be argumentative.
But we couldn't, the financials were just shaky. Well, you were there, Fran.
Yes.
Are you agree with me?
Yes.
We were spending more than we
Yes.
were taking in.
We just couldn't handle it.
Oh, and
Yeah,
that
continue.
was all right. We gave it a shot. We met 4 times. We
I think
spent-
you met with the county too, didn't you?
We spent 8 hours. I went to a couple of county meetings.
But we don't in any way want this program to die. That's why we've been
No.
gearing up to be ready.
No
You
way.
know, now we're here ready and they've sent out the flyers and now you tell us you've been revived. So, since you've been revived, as Jane says, let's see what we can do, okay?
Your Honor, do you want to rescind that motion until? we
No,
hear-
I think we'll leave it as is until 2 weeks. Is that all right, John Baker?
It is.
Yeah. I'm not sure it's parliamentary procedure to rescind the issue in the same meeting. that
That's
we-
fine.
I don't think
And
we
I
can do that.
apologize for coming down after you already talked about it, but I was unaware that it was on the agenda today.
I think at a future meeting, advertise the issue can be reconsidered.
I do.
But
All
I
right.
suggested before, to give us 2
Okay.
weeks.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Bobby.
you.
I'm sorry that.
Thanks for letting me come
Okay.
before you.
Thank you.
Okay. On claims. Board,
You want utilities, Your Honor?
just anything you got.
Water claims was $48,085.37. Sewer claims was $92,048.89. Stormwater was $13,625.90 for a total of $153,760.16 for utilities.
Okay, for the city, it's a very good week, Your Honor.
Yeah.
159 with $47,272.48. The lowest amount in memory, I think.
Is there any questionable claims?
I have one, if I may. And,
Go ahead.
Dave, I think this is for you, the Department of Transportation. I hate to put you on the spot, I should have called you, but do you know what, it says 2 tippers that cost $10,000? Can you tell me what?
The units that go on the back of the old trucks, the old Packer trucks, And what it is, it's a unit you put your new can on, your new tote, and it flips it over and brings it back.
Okay, that's,
We had to have 2 trucks fitted with those, and it's not even apples at Best Equipment.
I tried to call you and I
And
didn't
the
get you.
first, we had one set was included in our original bid, and then we decided we really needed both trucks.
Okay.
Fitted,
That's
so.
fine.
Prevents the people on the back of the truck with a breakdown, or they have to lift those things, they just push them into the things.
If you do 2 totes, there's no limit on how much.
It's just a big number, and that's the reason I asked. I got no problem with it.
I'll make a motion to accept the financials as read.
I'll second.
Motion to accept the claims as they were presented. Is there any discussion? Roll call vote?
Jane Oakley?
Yes.
Ray Schulman?
Yes.
Leonard Erwin?
Yes.
Mike Bishop?
Yes.
Ron Coldiron?
Yes.
All have voted yes, the claims will be paid. Any further business to come? You were given a paper about the fundraiser for the 4-H building. Everybody got it. Tickets are available from Mike, but Mike wasn't able to come, so he'll get them to you. We need to sell these. The KFCs have come forth and doing this for us. All the proceeds of this dinner is going to go to the help of that building for the odds and ends that we need to get done. It's very critical that we sell these tickets. It sells itself for $8 for that kind of meal. You can't beat it. You can't go any place in the world and buy that kind of meal, and they are famous for their fried chicken. That's the 20th of April. I don't see you writing.
I already put it out there.
All right. Did you want to speak at this meeting?
Yeah, do you want me to bring up about the trash thing?
Heavy trash.
The what?
Heavy trash.
No, I don't. When are you starting?
This month.
Get up here quick.
I gotta hurry, 'cause I gotta
You
go.
need permission of this board to do that.
That's why I want to talk to you. I like to do something different with the heavy trash that we've done in the past. We've always done it in the spring. It's always worked out around, and it hasn't worked out around Easter time. What I like to do, and after I've talked about this, I guess there are some other communities that do this, which I wasn't aware of. But I like to do heavy trash every month of the year. I like for Fran to call me and tell me he's got an oversized chair on his porch and he's gonna set it out and wants me to come pick it up. You know, I wanna do this the last week of the month. And the only things I'll pick up are the things that you call me and tell me you have, and the items are 3 to 4 items per call. That way we don't have to scour the whole town to find something that's, you know, that you want me to pick up. So if you call me and say you have such and such, it can't be, it's just like it always was, can't be batteries, refrigerators, those kind of items. It has to be furniture type things or bed.
Tires.
Yeah, we can't do tires and so but we can do mattresses and box springs and chairs and that type of stuff. But as far as the paints and batteries and all the things in the past that we haven't done, we're not gonna do them again. Nor if you have building materials too, that if you remodel and you want to put a bunch of stuff out, we won't do that. We've never done that before. That was part of the list of things not to do. So I like to try to start that. Hopefully we do have ordinances in place that can take care of it. We don't want anybody to abuse this by just say, well, heck, they'll pick it up. And you have to call, you have to tell me, we have to put you on a list. So we go on the last week of the month and we go to these addresses that have called in, take care of it, and we're done. It's something that doesn't, you know, there's going to be some months that are going to be more involved than others because of weather and so forth, but still, if we do this ongoing, it doesn't hit the budget hard. It doesn't hit this $6,000 or $7,000. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but something to that effect.
Yeah, 6,200, I think.
Something like that. So it just hits you a little bit each month, and just kind of a smooth thing. And we can keep the town cleaned up during the whole course of the year instead of the 1 week out of the 52. So if you call the office or call the street department and say you have a problem or need help with something, we can address it and take care of it for you.
This would be an ongoing thing people would get used to. If they got something to get rid of the last week of the month, they would call. You want to give him permission to try this for 3 months?
I'd like to see it.
And if it's abused and not taken care of properly, I'd like to end it just as quick as we started it, so.
Sure.
I'll take a motion in that we give them a 3-month period or a 4-month or whatever you think's good.
So move. I like the idea. I think it's great.
How many months? I'll try it for you.
3 months, let's give it 3.
Let's
Is that a good trial?
That's fine with me.
Just a good trial?
It puts us into the warmer weather, gets us into.
Might be good with the bicentennial coming too to get the town cleaned up.
That's a good
We have a
point.
motion by Ron and
I
a second
second.
by Mike over here. Any discussion? Anybody? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Good idea,
Good
Dave.
job with Tom.
That's a great idea.
Good idea.
I move for adjournment. I move for adjournment.
Is there a second? To
Second.
adjourn?
Second.
Got a motion on the floor to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks for coming, and thanks for getting your picture taken.
School.